That's St. Louis, brother. That's the O'Neill twins. That's the O'Neill twins there. Namely, there's human potential in all of us, no matter how gangster we behave, no matter what color we are. Well, that tradition shaped black people. It deeply shaped black people. Not all black people, but it shaped large numbers of black people. And that's part of my tradition, too. You see. So don't tell me because I'm upset and full of anger and rage and righteous indignation that somehow I'm just angry at white folk in the abstract. No. I separate John Brown from his cousins. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. Bill Bradley is not the same as George Bush when it comes to white skin privilege. Right? Abraham Joshua Heschel is not the same as conservative Jewish brothers and sisters in the United States. There's different kind of Jewish brothers and sisters around. Those are the kind of distinctions that the mainstream don't want to make, you see. And so you end up telling a story that is prudentially powerful and effective, but still on the truth side leaves much to be desired. And I haven't talked to Brother Obama. I did call him up and say, brother, I'm just concerned about the state of your soul, man. I want you to stay strong. I want you to stay strong, man, because you're in the middle of the storm. So I didn't give him this critique on the phone. No. That wasn't the time to do it. I want to empower my brother, but he knows I'm called to tell the truth, which means all of us under judgment. And this is also true in terms of the role of the flag, you see, because part of this struggle over patriotism, we're going to get a lot of this next week, talking about Brother Martin and the 40 years after he was shot down like a dog, you see. How do you define patriotism at the end of an ice age in which any critique of American power is associated with anti-Americanism? And this is also came through the speech of Jeremiah Wright. If you listen closely to the speech, he says, God damn America when America kills innocent people. God damn America when America treats people less than human. I say yes, that's true. That's true. I don't know of a conception of God that blesses injustice. I don't know of a conception of God that doesn't condemn injustice. If you're going to have a God, it would be nice if that God had a righteous indignation when everyday people were being crushed like cockroaches. And if you don't have a God like that, then I'm going to be an atheist. I'm going to still go with Jesus, but I'll be an atheist. Because it's going to be connected to some kind of struggle for justice linked to love. The justice is what love looks like in public. And that's just an angle of vision.
Going back to Reverend Wright's sermon and Obama's speech, it seems that there's been this depiction of Reverend Wright as someone who is so far away from where the black community is. Primarily, it seems to me, because they don't know where the mindset of the black community is, because we wear the mask. So going back in my area, in my book, Race, Law, and American Society, I talk about the fact that there were laws against black people coming together in groups.
That's right.
Because the sense was that you would be plotting something, some type of uprising, I've always said, and I hope they were. So it seems in this vestige of that mindset that it was all right when we believed in a Jesus that they thought they taught us, that said we should stay beneath them. But they seem to have piqued something that is a fear or a fascination that says perhaps what we're doing in these rooms by ourselves is something they should know more about.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. I think when you actually go back to the early stages of the niggerization of black people, where I talk about the white greed and white fear and white hatred in place in such a way that you try to convince these people to be so afraid and scared and intimidated and feel helpless and hopeless so that they can never become agents to love themselves, confirm themselves, organize, and resist. That's why the Black Writers Conference has always been about how to deniggerize black people. That's what the aim is. how do you shake the Negroization out of them so they're no longer scared? They're no longer afraid. They get brave. They straighten their backs up and stand. The way Sly Stone said, stand. When Brother Martin says, straighten your back up, you're going somewhere because man can't ride your back unless it's bent. But it's hard to straighten your back up because you have to pay a cost sometimes. So what are the conditions under which black people straighten their backs up? Out of love and justice and a struggle based on what came before and moving into the unknown. And I think that they view Jeremiah Wright the same way they viewed the bad Negroes in black communities under Jim Crow, as out of control. Because he is speaking his mind. Now keep in mind, all of us are cracked vessels now. I mean, Jeremiah Wright deserves criticism. But it's got to be criticism that is justified. It's got to be criticism that's justified. I mean, his claim about AIDS and HIV and so forth, I think that's excessive. I don't go with that. It's just like Brother Mos Def, you know, another towering figure just like Talib. You know, he said he don't really believe bin Laden was behind the planes in World Center. Well, Mos Def got so many truths to tell that I could go with his truth, but on that one I said, no, bin Laden said he got something to do with it, so I think he got something to do with it. I believe the brother. I don't think he's lying in the cave, you know what I mean? But the thing is, but that's all right. I can disagree with Brother Mos Def on that issue and still keep track of his truths. I can disagree with certain things Jeremiah Wright said. I certainly disagree with Ms. Louis Farrakhan on a whole host of things, you see? But then when they criticize my dear brother for giving Mr. Louis Farrakhan the Trumpet Award, it's a Trumpet Award. He doesn't deserve any kind of award. He's not great. And I said, you call Alexander great for what? Conquering, killing, dominating more people than anybody of his day. You call Napoleon great? How come? Dominating, conquering, killing more people of his day. Well, what happens if your criteria of great is not conquering and killing? Now, is Minister Louis Farrakhan great in regard to homophobia? No. Is he great in regard to patriarchy? No. Is he great in regard to keeping track of the humanity of Jewish brothers and sisters? No. Is he great in terms of white supremacy? In fighting white supremacy? Hey, come on now. Somebody devoted his whole life to keeping track of white supremacy and its effects and consequences as he understands it and is willing to live and die for it. The West called Churchill great. Believed in the subhumanity of black people, sided with Mussolini, but he was great in regard to resisting Nazism for the British Empire. I grant him that. If you want to define it in that way, yes, he's a great man. But don't think that just because your suffering is at the center of your discussion that you can discount mine when I talk about greatness. Let's put it in context. Let's put it in context. He can give a dialectical read to Churchill. You give a dialectical read to Mr. Louis Farrakhan, or Elijah Muhammad, anybody else. But of course, that's not understood by the white mainstream press. Somebody got a connection going on.
Well, let's just take this moment. We're going to open up the floor for questions.
My question is, what works should I read if I want to know definitively whether publishers with Marxist/communist agendas made the publication of Césaire, Fanon, Wright, and Ellison, etc. possible?
That's good. It's a tough question, but I don't really know the publishing world that well. I am blessed to have my editor here, who I would like to stand up, Sister Cheryl Woodruff. Where is Sister Cheryl Woodruff? Where is she? Where is she? Oh, there she is. Just wave your hand, Sister Cheryl. This is my editor right here, who has been just so magnificent. I mentioned her because she is head of Smiley Books. Brother Tavis Smiley has just made his move into publishing, where you get some autonomy and some freedom and independence. And he's got a whole wave of texts coming out. My text, his text, a whole host of others. And there you get a freedom. You get a significant freedom. Now, there's also some freedom in the white mainstream. There's no doubt about that. But we've heard some stories today about some of the challenges to that kind of independence and freedom. But I think that you want to look for those publishing houses that allow you to both exercise your vocation, lift your voice, and allow you to express your vision.